And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is my live stream, and I am 5 minutes late, a lot better than before when I was like 20 minutes late. And if you have been waiting, I do apologize. So, if you are new to my live stream, I basically just talk about life in Qatar. My name is Malo, and as you probably already know by now, this YouTube channel is the Malo Project, all about life in Qatar. So normally what I like to do is go through some relevant news topics that basically happened over the last week. Sometimes it's a little bit older, but it's also always going to be relevant to living and working in Qatar. And if you've just joined me, welcome. Okay, so normally also another housekeeping just rule or update. If you do have any questions regarding life in Qatar, this is why this live stream is there. Please do not hesitate to drop a question in the live chat. I will try to answer it to the best of my knowledge. However, if you come across the stream after it's been live, you are more than welcome to leave a comment down below, and I will be happy to answer the question after it's been live. Yeah. And I already have two shout outs here. Miss Safrina Mama, welcome to the stream. And Nozizwe Silandile. I think I got it right. Yeah, let me know if I got it right. Welcome. Can I bring my family even if they don't have a ticket to the game? No. Now, you can actually, if you're a resident, right? You can host family and friends. The only thing is, it's quite strict with the World Cup because you need to have hire card as of the 1st of November, and also usually match tickets and accommodation. And obviously, if you're a resident, you can invite somebody who has a hire card and who's watching a game and they don't need accommodation. So there's a procedure for that as well. Technically, it should be possible to invite somebody if that specific person is not going to watch the game. For the most updated information, it's always best to check with the ministry websites, because there you will find the most relevant information. Why I say that is because I've come across a lot of posts where people are not getting visas approved that should be technically approved. Again, these people obviously not. Sometimes they don't provide a lot of information why they have not been approved for visas. So it's a bit of a gray area. So it's always best to just check the ministry website. And Nazizba said I did pronounce her name correctly. Double thumbs up. I was like skating around. Oh, and she mentioned that she's listening from Johannesburg. Oh, welcome, my South African brothers and sisters. Yeah, guys, let me know if you have any other questions. I see we have 3 people in the live stream this evening. Creature Features is here also. Now, if you don't know, Creature Feature fan edit is actually my brother, so welcome. I'll get some family support in the stream. And we have 3 people in the stream, 3 more than last time. So we're already off to a good start. Okay, I see everybody's a bit chilled here. So what I'm going to do, go through my first news article about Qatar, because it's all about living and working in Qatar. But as I mentioned, if you do have a question that comes up during even this segment, I'm more than happy to answer that question or try to answer it to the best of my knowledge. Okay, let's start off with the spicy news article. Yeah. Now, as you can imagine, the Washington Post will always have these spicy takes. So let's just minimize that. So as per the Washington Post, this is the headline. The Qatar World Cup is only a month away. Will Qatar be ready? Now, that's a big question mark. Yeah. So let's continue. Let's see what they say. Okay. I will quickly go through this article because I have a question from Ms. Safrina Mama. But let's finish this one quickly. So as per the Washington Post, yeah, the president of FIFA Soccer Global Governing Body was unequivocal. Qatar is ready. Gianni Infantino, and I'm amazed I got through his name, but I believe that is correct, said this week, addressing one of the central concerns about the approaching World Cup, that the host country, the smallest ever to have staged the tournament, would buckle under the weight of global scrutiny and the arrival of hundreds of thousands of fans. And it's actually incorrect. It's not hundreds of thousands of fans, Gianni. The last time I checked, the estimate is about 1.2 million fans that will arrive. Or let's just say tourists, because not everybody might be hardcore football fans, right? But 1.2 million will arrive in Qatar over the course of the World Cup. And a new report that was actually released a few days ago actually mentioned by the Qatari government that 1.5 million hire cards have already been requested. Now, obviously, some of those hire cards was probably local. However, 1.5 million, wow, it's a lot. Okay. And let's continue with the article. Over the years, Qatar told the world to expect amazing, and looking around the country now, we can see that Qatar has delivered amazing. He said in recorded remarks played at the news conference in Doha on Monday. Now, something I can add. So me and my family, we've been in Qatar for about 4 to 5 years now, going on 5 years. And we've seen so many changes, guys. It's unbelievable. Like in the last 5 years, we've seen more changes that I've seen in the last 30 years in my country. Yeah. The metro, when we got here, the metro was still being built and the metro was opened up a while ago. And that is just that alone is such a big accomplishment. So many roads have been improved for the last 1 to 2 years, at least based on obviously my knowledge and understanding. They've been working on infrastructure when it comes to neighborhoods, plumbing. You'll always see these boards like partitions up where they would obviously cover the area where they're working, and they're working in every single area. And on top of that, they basically improved the corniche. When they opened the corniche after so many months or years of construction, I never knew that they actually built like an underpass on the corniche, which is just unbelievable. But they did it, right? Just to make it easier for fans to cross the road without having to go on an overpass, right? I've seen so many changes. It's a lot of good changes that's been happening in the country. So I can definitely agree with Mr. Gianni Infantino. I'm not going to read the whole article, guys. I'm just going to finish it off here. With a month to go until the first match, though, preparations are still a work in progress. Yes, there's still a couple of things that they're working on, as you can see if you drive around. The backbone of the tournament infrastructure, 8 stadiums and an extensive metro system that will deliver fans to the matches is ready. Yeah, I can attest to that. Officials insist, but many other parts of Qatar remain under construction, draped with scaffolding and hidden behind screens. While some facilities critical to the visitor experience, including fan zones, apartment blocks, are still being built. Look here, fan zones, obviously they are still working on the fan zones. We are like, a month away. So there's enough time for them to build the fan zones. They're not going to build fan zones 6 months ahead of the time, And I understand Washington Post, they have to basically write a lot of saucy headlines to get a lot of clicks and eyeballs on their articles. But we know with legacy media, it's never going to be cut and dry. It's always going to have some type of angle. They're always going to come with some type of perspective, right? Whether that's good or bad. But yes, fan zones are still being built because it's still 30 days away. So that I agree with. Okay, I think there's a little bit more sauce left in this article, so let's just see. Questions persist about whether the accommodations are enough. That's actually a question I have as well. Yeah. Qatar officials have offered an assortment of unusual housing options, including steel cabins that look like storefronts and traditional wooden boats known as dhows. And they are recently announced, they recently announced, the addition of 30,000 rooms to meet surging demand. And another thing that's amazing, they are providing 3 to 4 cruise ships. And no, I'm not talking about like yachts. It's full-on cruise ships. It's basically like a hotel on water. And they will provide 3 to 4 of those. I think they've rented those just to meet the demand of the housing. Yeah. Okay. So nearly 3 million tickets to the tournament have been sold, FIFA said, with top purchasing countries including Qatar itself, Saudi Arabia, and the United States. And I think that's where we're going to cut it off with the Washington Post article about Qatar. So we are going to go back. Let's remove that. And we are back. So let's see what's been happening in the chat. Okay, so Safrina Mama said, what are the schools like? Yeah. And she said, I have 2 kids and I want to know how good are the schools and how good are the schools there and what's the prices like? Now, okay, so in regards to prices, right? It's like in many countries, you have your high-end private schools and then you have your lower-end, more affordable schools, right? Now, the prices that I came across, let me just pull this up here. It really varies, yeah? So I'll just open this up and what I will do, I will share this for you guys as well. Not that one, remove. Let's go back to share, present, screen share, okay. So I actually used this website when I made one of my videos on the life in Qatar. And let's just take this as an example. So this is from eArabia or ED Arabia. So I would assume educationarabia.com. And this is in regards to Qatar school fees. So they basically compile all of the school fees based on the grade. Yeah. So here you can see ACS Doha, which is international school. Now, I'm not a professional when it comes to schools. I can just tell you based on what is here. So for FS1, that will be 51,309 riyals per year, right? And that is on the lower end. Now, if you get to grade 12 or year 13, it goes up to 80,465. I almost had a Zuma moment. I almost said 80,465, 100,000. So don't judge. But yeah, so grade 12 or year 13 for ACS Doha International School, it's about 80,000 riyals. Now that's insane, yeah? But you have a lot of cheaper options. If I go scroll down here, and I will just choose randomly one of the cheaper schools here. Now, again, this is quite a good site. So I would assume this will be correct information, right? But I would urge you to dig a little bit deeper if you want more information. However, Bevan's Public School, if you go to grade 12, compared to ACS, this one is only 8,751. And these rates should be per annum, yeah? So just a cool little website. It gives you an idea of the ranges of the cost that you have to pay for basically tuition for schools from all of the different grades, yeah? So it's a good resource to use, edarabia.com. And so far, I mean, look at we sending our 5-year-old to one of the schools here. It's a Montessori-based school. Why? My wife is a professional when it comes to learning and development, and she opened my eyes to Montessori, and it's just amazing of how they approach learning. It's a completely different way of approaching learning when it comes to kids, and I would highly recommend if you are interested in. Obviously, if you're getting to a point where you need to send your kid to maybe preschool or something, check out Montessori, read a couple of articles on it, watch a couple of videos on it. It's an amazing way, the way they basically approach learning for kids. And it's all based on the psychology of a child, right? It's not this typical learning approach where all the children will be basically sitting in rows, the old school Socrates method. Yeah, so it's something different. And we've seen a crazy amount of changes in our daughter already, which is awesome. Yeah. And she's only been doing it for what, 2-3 months. Okay, enough about schools. Nazizwe, I'm glad I caught you today's stream. What are the best recruitment agencies for legal counsels? Okay. I made a video, so I'll just pop this on screen. So Nazizwe said, I'm glad I caught you today's stream. I'm glad as well that you are here. I appreciate it. What are the best recruitment agencies for legal counsels? Now, I can only talk in terms of general recruitment platforms. Like I made a video about this, how to look for work in Qatar, how to find a job in Qatar, 2 different videos. It's actually 2 of my best performing videos on the channel. And again, my channel is not that old. It's a little bit over a year old. But in there, I basically explain some of the resources that I normally use, right? I basically look at LinkedIn jobs, where you can get jobs for any type of industry. And it's always catered towards your experience and your expertise basically, and your obviously your work experience, sorry. And then you have Indeed.com, also caters to a lot of different industries. Caterer Global is more your service related industry. So if you are in the service or service sector, which is F&B, food and beverage, or let's say hospitality, you can look on Caterer Global for good jobs. Okay, I'm blanking on a few of them. Caterer Global, Indeed.com I've mentioned. Anyhow, check out that video. Now, the reason why I say check out these specific sites, it's not all the sites in the world. Obviously, there are other sites. However, for the last 15, 16 years that I've been in the Middle East, these are the sites that I primarily used when I was recruiting team members. And when I was actually looking for work, these are the sites that I also use. Why? Because these are legitimate sites where companies would post vacancies, right? So there's a lot of other recruitment portals where they would make jobs up, right? There's a lot of them. So be careful when you are applying, right? Especially when they ask you to pay something upfront. So just be careful with that. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, the other 2 things that is coming to mind now is they're going directly to the company that you want to apply, because most big companies would actually have their own dedicated career portal on their website. Yeah. And the other thing is, obviously, if you, sorry? Huh? Yeah. So that is my assistant. She just mentioned LinkedIn as well. Thank you, assistant. But I mentioned that, yeah, LinkedIn jobs. Actually, for you, because it's legal counsel, I would check out Indeed. I would check out LinkedIn jobs. And if you want to do legal, like big organizations would have their own legal team, right? So if you know where you want to work, you can actually check on that specific organization's career portal, and you should be able to hopefully find a vacancy there as well. Yeah, but just watch out for dodgy recruitment sites. I hope that answered your question. Abigail Dolly said, hello, Marlo. Hello to you too. Also with the heart smiley face. And Sabrina Mama said, thanks for answering my question. Marlo, see you soon. Thank you for asking a question also. It's like it's a bit of a joke there. Probably some of you caught it, some of you it went a little bit over your head. Thank you very much for passing it on to somebody that was interested. Look here, there are other portals, right? But these are the portals that I'm comfortable with using. I've used it myself, and I've recruited through those sites already. Yeah, there obviously are other dedicated portals. So good luck with the job hunt. I'm sure you'll find something. Persistence is the key. Yeah. Okay. So we have 3 in the stream. That's awesome. So I will go on to my next news article in case anybody's got any questions. This is also another interesting article, I think. Okay, this is on dohanews.co. Qatar to ramp up Jordan food imports to meet World Cup demands. Right now, to a lot of you, it will be like, what is the big deal? Like, obviously, my country hosted the World Cup in 2010. There was no questions about if food is going to be enough. Yeah. And for obvious reasons, my country is much bigger than Qatar. We produce a lot of our own food. Actually, we export a lot of the food as well when it comes to meats, and a lot of dry goods are being exported. So there was no question, even if South Africa, will be able to meet the food demands during the World Cup back in 2010. Now, obviously, for Qatar, it's different. Why? Because Qatar only has a population of, it was 2.6 million, and I believe it increased to close to about 3 million now. And for anybody that's in my stream that is new to life in Qatar, you would actually be surprised to know that there's approximately 300,000 Qataris out of the 3 million. So 2.7 million will be your expats. Yeah. Now, obviously, with such a relatively small country, there are going to be questions regarding if the food will be enough, because your supermarkets, they were used to obviously meeting demands for the existing population of 2.7 at that time, or 2.6, now 3 million. And now we're expecting another 1.2 million, almost additional 50%, almost, yeah, not there yet, but almost an additional 50% of your existing population more, yeah. So this is why this article is basically phrased the way it's phrased here. So let's just see what they say. So bilateral trade between Qatar and Jordan witnessed significant growth over the past decade. Qatar intends to increase its food imports from Jordan to meet the growing demand during the 2022 FIFA World Cup, with more than 1 million spectators expected to travel to Doha. The last time I read, it was 1.2 million. Excuse me. Initially forecasted at 1.5. The demand for consumption in the Qatari local market is expected to increase at unprecedented rates in view of the anticipation of the entry of more than 1.5 million fans and visitors to the country. Okay, so yeah, they are expecting now 1.5 again. So it's basically fluctuating between 1.5 to 1.2 million. Jordan keen on providing Qatar security support during the World Cup. During the first quarter of the year, Qatar and Jordan's trade witnessed a 32% increase. That's insane, reaching $41 million from $31 million over the same period last year. The demand for Jordanian goods also increase in season where consumership rises for such a month of Ramadan or Eid. Yeah. Okay. I think we basically got through the gist of the article. It basically talks about how Qatar has a huge demand. There will be a huge demand in obviously food requirements when the tourists will come. But Qatar is obviously working on it. Qatar is thinking ahead. And as now, obviously because it's a stream about life in Qatar, I will tell you what the current feeling or perception is among certain expats. Now, I cannot speak for every single expat in Qatar of the 2.7 million. I can only speak for myself and for some of them that I've seen posting online. There's a big concern that obviously food prices will go up. Yeah. Actually, I read an interesting post in one of the Facebook groups of expats in Qatar. The guy said, okay, he's used to ordering I believe it was a chapati and a curry from one of his local restaurants that is close to him. It's like a cafeteria, basically. It's close to where he lives, and it's like a walking distance away from his house, if I can remember correctly. And he said to this store owner, or one of the staffs rather, he said that I hope your prices will remain the same, like because he pays about 10 riyals for that chapati, I believe, or curry. And the guy said, no, it's going to be $10 when the World Cup will start. So from 10 riyals, which is, I don't know how much is that in dollars, but that's about, if I can convert it roughly, it's about probably it's times 3.64. So maybe 36 riyals. So from 10 riyals to 36 riyals. So that's quite a significant increase. And this guy he left that conversation not knowing if that was a joke or not. But it is possible that prices will increase. And again, not because people are greedy. Yes, some of them will be greedy and will just increase the price just regardless because they want to make more money. But it's also a fact that if food prices increase because there's a higher demand when tourists will obviously come to Qatar, obviously that will impact the prices of food, goods, for even these cafeterias and restaurants. So they will have to in turn increase their prices, right? Because if they're going to be paying more for rice and flour and ingredients for the food, definitely they will increase the prices. But that's just an interesting point. And that sentiment about food prices increasing, I've seen it a lot on the expat Facebook groups, specifically related to obviously expats living in Qatar. Again, like I said, I'm not speaking for everybody that's living in Qatar. I'm speaking only for myself, and I'm trying to convey what is a sentiment that I've observed so far online. Yeah, it's a very like political way of saying it. Okay, so Nozizwe already. Nozizwe, I love this. I know you probably think like, oh my God, this guy's gonna get annoyed because he's asking a lot. I love it because that's why we are here. We are here to talk. It should be a two-way conversation. Okay, so you basically asked here, is recruitment relatively slow in Qatar or the Middle East? Now, it really depends. Now, here I'm not sure if it's delayed at the moment. I do know there are some people that have mentioned that it took a little bit longer than usual for them to be recruited. However, there are, again, a counterpoint. There are other people that have mentioned that their recruitment went well, pretty fast as well. So I really think it's also impacted by the company that you are applying to, whether the recruitment process will be fast or not, right? Um, Again, some of these companies can be quite slow when it comes to recruitment. Yeah. So again, that is like a very vague answer to give. But I have noticed, based on some of the people that I spoke to, was dealing with a lot of recruitment, that's at times the recruitment process can be significantly slower than usual. Now, obviously, as I've mentioned earlier, the population increased by about 300,000. Now, a lot of those people are going to be temporary workers that only came to Qatar for the World Cup, right? To work here, whether it's a volunteer basis or whatever. So it's possible those temporary recruitment jobs will eventually, obviously, they will finish at some point, whether after the World Cup is finished, and then they will go back home, right? Now, with that being said, obviously there's a significant increase in applications being sent through the various government entities here that is responsible for approving visas, etc. So I believe that could be slowing the process down as well. Yeah. And she also mentioned persistence. True. I completely agree with that.
Yes.
You'll probably get a lot of no's, but that no is only going to be one step closer to your yes. Yeah. And I'm here all day for any motivational chats or discussions. Okay, so what are we going to do now? It's a little bit quiet in the chat. We're going to jump over to another one of the articles that I have ready for you guys. Guys and gals. Guys, when I say guys, I mean guys and gals, yeah? So don't get me wrong. It's just a way that I speak. And I will say guys meaning universal. Yeah, in our stream, everybody's equal. Okay, so let's go on to the next article. You are inspiring. Thank you very much. Person who shares the same last name as me. Okay, let's just quickly jump while I'm here in the chat. Let's just quickly jump to this question. Is Qatar friendly to families moving there in terms of visas? I saw somewhere that often they will issue a visa for a person getting the job and not the option to sponsor their families. Okay, so what's currently happening? The minimum pay to sponsor family members has increased, right? And that is just recently. Now, we don't know if this is going to be consistent moving forward. I believe I speak under correction, guys. This is something I came across a while ago. So don't take this as what I'm going to say now as gospel. Just if you want to research a little bit more yourself, just check it out. Just do a quick Google search. However, I believe the minimum salary nowadays is 20,000 as a basic Qatari riyals. Excuse me. Before it was much less, I believe 10,000, excluding accommodation and other benefits. So your basic should be about 20,000, if I'm not mistaken now. before you can sponsor your family, right? Now, that is if you want to sponsor your family as an individual. Now, there's different types of sponsorships. If you, for example, have like usually managers would get in many companies would have the benefits of sponsoring the family, right? Again, it depends on companies, but in general, that is one of the benefits of getting a manager job here. So if you do have that kind of job, if it depending on a company, you can have the ability to basically sponsor your family on your behalf. So that is a family status, normally they call it, right? So if you get a job where you have a family status, your company would basically pay for your kids and for your spouse, right? However, and in that case, based on my understanding, you don't need a 20K basic salary because the company is sponsoring the kids and your family on the company himself, right? Itself, not the individual. But if you have a normal type of, like, let's say you just get a whatever job in Qatar, having a 20K basic salary at the moment is one of the requirements, right? Apart from accommodation, apart from any other benefits. Yeah, and I believe there's a certain requirement for your accommodation as well. So one of the applications, when you apply, you'll need to basically confirm this is your salary via bank statements, and you'll have to present, I believe, your accommodation agreement as well, and your Karama bill, which is your utilities bill. Because I believe if you are sponsoring your family, you should be able to have at least a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom accommodation. So there's quite a lot of things that you have to consider if you are sponsoring your family, whether it's individual or through a company. But one of your questions was, is Qatar friendly to families? In general, yes. In Qatar, it's all about families. Now, obviously, like I would actually go as far as to say, if you have the option to choose between Dubai and Qatar, personally, Qatar will be more family friendly. I find Dubai is more for bachelors. People who are single, people who are maybe newlywed, young. There's a lot of temptation there, good and bad. So yeah, Qatar is definitely family friendly in my opinion. Schools are amazing here, and lots of parks, lots of activities for kids and families to do. And in terms of, I'm just trying to phrase this properly, so I'm like stuttering here. Even in terms of medical benefits, so far Qatar is for me the best when it comes to medical. And as an example, so our youngest got sick recently, right? She had a terrible fever over the last few days. And obviously, we have a medical coverage, right? Private insurance. So, in most countries, you can go to like private healthcare centers and they will be able to take care of you. What do me and my wife do? And you'll think I'm joking. If you're coming to South Africa, you won't believe me, but I completely understand why, right? It's all about context. Me and my wife took my youngest at 6 a.m. We took her to the pediatric emergency care. Now that is that's a public hospital. And that's something we've been doing whenever our kids have, like really they are unwell. That's how much we love Hamad, which is the public hospitals in Qatar. We prefer them depending on obviously what's happening. We prefer to take our kids to the Hamad hospitals. Yeah. And we do have a medical insurance, and I have to add quite a good one for everybody, right? Doesn't mean that the private hospitals are bad here. That's definitely not the case. However, for certain things, definitely our first choice would be the public hospitals. So yeah, another reason why I believe Qatar is definitely family friendly. Now, if you are in Dubai, for example, you will definitely have to have your medical aid insurance. And then you'll have to go to whatever private hospital your medical coverage would be covering, right? So a lot of reasons why I believe personally Qatar is very, very extremely family friendly. Yeah, if you can get a visa. Okay, let's head into our next news article. I think it gets a little bit less saucy than the previous two. Now this one is related. This is from if you were watching any of my previous streams, I actually go on Qatar.net. I love Qatar.net quite a lot. They have a lot of interesting articles. So here it says a series of road closures announced by the Ministry of Interior. Now, going back to what we said about that 1.2 to 1.5 million tourists descending on Qatar in the next few weeks, because Qatar is so small, obviously, the government and everybody else is expecting a lot of congestion on the roads. And a way to ease up on congestion is to obviously close certain roads, right? The Ministry of Interior has announced that on its official Facebook page, a series of road closures to be observed in numerous areas in Doha. Now, I know if you're not living in Qatar, obviously this wouldn't make much sense, but if any of the viewers are living in Qatar at the moment, this is going to be affecting you. So Khalid bin Ahmed Industrial Area Intersection Tunnel for a period of 2 weeks. I don't know where that is. I'm not going to go through the whole list. Temporary traffic closure on the left turn from Corniche. Again, I don't know where that is. Let's just skim through that. And this is from the actual ministry. Please pay attention to the traffic closures of Khalid bin Ahmed Industrial Area Intersection. Okay, the same thing we read before. And that's actually another cool thing about the government here, right? They do quite well in terms of updating, obviously, the general population on what they are doing, right? And this is an example of that, obviously coming from the Ministry of Interior. Now, this specific one, you'll actually see my cursor hovering around it. This is, for me personally, going to be quite a pain because I am coming from the north here and I'm going to have some business here. So I'll have to take public transport, obviously, because this whole area will basically be closed and I won't be able to drive there. So for that month or 40 days I will be able to reach where I need to go only by means of public transportation, which is going to be a challenge, right? I'm actually thinking of getting a bike for the first time, just to make it a little bit easier. And that is it. Just a quick update on the road closures. So I'm going to jump immediately into my next one, which is going to be just 1 second. You know, when I'm doing something, sometimes my brain switches off. So again, another article that's related to another article that's related to traffic. Yeah, so here it says on dohanews.co, bus lane, shuttle buses, and Doha Metro. All you need to know for the World Cup. More than 2,300 buses will be operating daily during the FIFA World Cup. That is insane. For such a small city, that is really insane. Qatar has released a transportation guide for residents and visitors ahead of this year's FIFA World Cup 2022, which will be held from the 20th of November until the 18th of December. Excuse me. The metro buses and taxis are fully prepared for the influx of visitors, and the working hours of the Doha Metro will start daily from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. during the hosting period. Abdulaziz Al Maulawi, Executive Director of Transportation Operations at the Supreme Committee and for Delivery. Let me repeat that because sometimes I'm going to read too fast. The Executive Director of Transportation Operations at the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy announced during a press conference on Wednesday. So they are basically, this Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy is basically the committee, the government committee that is in charge of executing on the strategy for the World Cup, right? Private parking will be provided next to metro stations. I have, as I mentioned, I'll be coming from the north every day, so I do have a metro station that's close by. So I'll have to take a metro station from there. And free transportation with hire card will be allowed from the November 10th until December 23rd. Now this is amazing, guys. Like if you are obviously coming from abroad to watch the World Cup and you are valid hire card holder, which you have to be when you come to Qatar during this period, you will get free transportation on the public buses and metro station. That is insane. And another reason why Qatar is definitely doing the best to make this one of the best World Cups ever. Yeah, the Corniche Street will be designated for pedestrians from the 1st of November until the 19th of December. Now, I have a big question regarding this. like pedestrians, I hope I can use a bicycle on that road. If not, I will have to walk like 12 kilometers one way. I'll be able to lose a lot of weight if I won't be able to use a bike at least. According to the plan that has been prepared to facilitate transportation during the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022, fans are encouraged to use public transport to visit either the Corniche or FIFA fan festivals located at Albira Park. Now, that's actually something I'm really excited to see, what the fan zones will be like. Yeah, that should be awesome. Shuttle bus services will also operate so fans can travel between entertainment areas, which is another amazing thing. Obviously, there will be obviously some wait time depending on where you're going to be. How long the queues will be to get to the actual buses, we don't know yet. That's something that everybody is interested to see. But there will be lots of options when it comes to getting around in Qatar. And just a thing I want to mention, I actually saw a lot of posts, again, this is online. It appears that certain road traffic violations have been issued already if cars are driving in a bus or taxi lane. Now, those bus and taxi lanes have been recently designated as such, right? Obviously, some roads already had bus and traffic lanes from before, but it was never really strictly enforced if cars were driving there, based on what I can read online. Now, I have seen some people already mentioning that they've received violations for driving in those lanes. Now, obviously, it makes sense if you are driving a car in a bus and traffic lane that you will get a traffic violation. But they are ramping up now, and there are a lot more bus and traffic lanes throughout the city. That is actually quite new as well. So that's something to be mindful of. So yeah, that's it. So let's remove that. So that's regarding traffic in Qatar. Let's see what's happening in the chat. A South African taking their kids to the public hospitals. Wow, that's impressive. That is impressive. And just a side note, my wife actually gave birth in the public hospital here. And we ended up paying a whopping 110 riyals. So that's about 800, if I'm not mistaken, 840, 110 riyals times 4. So that's 440 rand. That's for medicine, that's for the entire birthing procedure. The stay in the room for recovery until the next day, all of that included, 110 riyals. And for anybody that's abroad will probably think that this guy's full of shit and he's lying. And I completely understand if that's your stance. That's how good the private healthcare is in Qatar. Obviously, I wouldn't say it's perfect because there are quite long waits sometimes because you're going to a public health center. But yeah, quality is amazing when it comes to public healthcare in Qatar. Obviously, as you can imagine, all because it's government subsidized, yeah? Okay, let's see what we have, if we have any other articles. Okay, I'm gonna do this now. So we still have a few minutes. If there's nobody in the chat, I know there's 3 people that is currently watching the stream. Guys, if I haven't mentioned your name yet, guys or gals, please just drop a WhatsApp in the live chat so I can just shout you out real quick because we are almost done. So I believe I will hang online for another minute or so in case, because I've basically gone through all of the news articles that I wanted to just discuss in tonight's stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it though. As you can see here, this is like changing every single week. I think it's going to change even more until the day that I have a studio set up where everything will be fixed and permanent. And just on a side note, regarding my wife giving birth, it's actually in one of my videos that I've, for like 3-4 seconds, you can actually see the hospital room where she was in. I can't remember exactly in which video I was discussing that. It's probably about, I think it's in a pros and cons video of Qatar. So if you want to check that out, there's a 3 to 5 second clip of my wife's hospital room. And I briefly mentioned that. And all of that was technically free because we only paid 110 riyals. guys, I'm gonna sign off now. I do appreciate each and every one of you that joined the stream. And if you do come across the stream, once it is on video on demand on YouTube, please, if you have a question, just drop it in the comment section. And I do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. And I will sign off, and I will catch you guys in the next stream, which is hopefully going to be next week, or in one of my vlogs that I'm going to upload during the course of the week. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys again. Have a nice evening.